right, don't let anybody tell you what to do. Welcome to the Do More Cool Shit podcast. I'm your host, Sean McDonnell. And if you're listening on Spotify, congratulations. If you are listening on any other platform, also congratulations. But if you are watching this podcast on video form, major congratulations, because this is the very first video episode of the Do More Cool Shit podcast, where I'm going to be sitting down and chatting with a bunch of different folks. On this particular episode, I sit down with my good friend and super talented musician, Samantha Taylor. And this, after doing video for 19 years, I figured, you know what, maybe I could throw up a camera and see how this goes. So we're trying something out new, and I think there'll be 24 episodes coming out throughout the year of 2023, having conversations with different folks. Some will be in person, and hopefully some will be from all around the world. And I start with none other than, like I said, my dear friend and an amazingly talented musician, someone who's been streaming on Twitch for the past little while, but also has been doing music for a long time and putting herself out there. And that's kind of what this whole episode is all about. I really wanted to talk about putting the work in. And when I came across Samantha on Twitch, I was blown away by her talent, her genuineness, her humor, and her ultimately crazy library of like over 500 sub songs that she just knows and can just pull out and rhyme off in no time, and sings a variety, a huge range of things. And I really am excited to share the conversation that I had with her. We cover everything from her, the beginning of her journey to Twitch, to what inspires her, to what her dreams and hopes are coming forward, and what the things are that she's going to need in her creative world to help propel her. And we talked a lot about a little bit of her input, and we talked a little bit, which is an ode to the episode that happened just before. So just like in past series of videos and podcasts, if you are following along, episode 32, we touched on the fact that everybody needs good input and output. If you're going to be a creative, you need to be able to find all of the good input and be able to carve out time for that for yourself. So we weave that into this conversation as well. And we talk quite a little bit about Rick Rubin, who, if any of you know in the music world, his producing skills and his thought theories. And so we talk a little bit about that. But one thing that really, really inspired me to actually start here at this journey in this series of videos for 2023 was a young woman, also a musician, by the name of Hattie Anders. I came across Hattie Anders quite a few months ago, jotted her name down. I think there was some video was recommended to me, and it wasn't too long that I came across this YouTube video where she talks about my 1 year acoustic fingerstyle guitar progress, and she makes this video. So if you're listening, I'll have the link in the description below, so that you can go and click on that video. If you're watching, obviously you're seeing right now, it says, I began my journey in October 2020, and after picking up my mom's old guitar, I fell in love with the instrument. And the one thing that I love about this, and I won't play any sound from it, but you can see from the titles that she literally goes through third month, fourth month, fifth month, and she's showing and playing the progress. And I loved the option that she was just showing you all of this progress. And I was really excited for that, because I think we do get scared when we go about doing some of that stuff. And I think for such a young person to be able to show the progress and not be too worried about it. And the music actually is phenomenal, and you can actually see the progress as it goes. So I implore all of you to, if you are looking for a little bit of inspiration, or you're looking for, that nudge to kind of push you forward, to go ahead and pick up something, to go ahead and try something, and to maybe even record some of the progress, whether it's with a video camera, whether it's with even an audio recorder, or even if it's just journaling about it. I think it was so important watching that video from Hattie that's 12 minutes long, and it goes through like a series of songs and episodes that she plays. I just think it was so cool. and so that would be my challenge in this one, is make sure that you record your progress, and not to be afraid to look back. And that's one thing that Samantha Taylor and I were looking at. And you'll hear later on in our episode with Samantha, when I bring up some episodes, and I bring up that she's had videos out on YouTube for over 9 years, even longer, 9 years on her own channel. And then before she was allowed to have her own channel, I think she was putting out music as well, she mentioned. And I think that progress and that consistency is so important. And I one thing that I remember Samantha was saying to me was that I just thought it was so interesting that she was like, "Oh, I wasn't very consistent," but consistent or not, there was content being up there from year 9, year 8, year 7, year 6, year 5, and it just kept going and going and going, and it never stopped. Whether it was full songs, parts of songs, shorts, it just keeps getting more frequent, and you can see the progress. You can go back. I think it's important for us as people to see that progress. I think we often can get caught up in the fact that we hear that term all the time, overnight success, but there is no overnight success. Just like Hattie Anders from this video put in all kinds of effort and work, so too has Samantha. So too has so many people who have succeeded. When you see that overnight success, it's not an overnight success. What you're seeing is years and years of hard work paying off and looking like it's an overnight success. Anybody who thinks or walks into a wood shop, let's say, of an 80-year-old man, and Samantha and I talk about this later on too. Anybody who even looks at all the gear I have, they say, "Wow, you've got so much gear. I didn't start out with that much gear." Nobody, almost nobody, starts out with that much gear. And even if you did start out with that much gear, you don't know how to use that much gear. You don't need all of that. The one thing that I love when I have this conversation with Samantha is that very first video that I go back to on her own channel, she starts with an iPod Touch, and it looks and it sounds okay. Is it perfect? No way. But is it done and is it out there? Absolutely. And that is what I think is so inspiring to me, is to keep reminding myself, no matter where I am in life and no matter where you are in life, I hope that you keep looking back and being like, holy shit, yeah, but I was there. I was over there, and now I'm here, and look at all the things I've accomplished. And they don't have to be big things. They can just be little things. And just the fact that you're here now, and there's probably so much more road ahead of you, and it's like we don't need to put all these things. We don't need to be down on ourselves for not being so far ahead, or we don't need to be comparing ourselves absolutely to anybody else, because we don't know how long their journey is, and we don't know what they've had in their back pockets and in their tool chests to help them get to where they are now. So I am going to actually stop talking here, because at this point, I really want to get into the conversation with Samantha. We had an amazing conversation, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. We covered so many things, and I hope that you guys will stick around, give that a listen. And without further ado, here is my conversation with Samantha Taylor, and I will see you on the other end when we wrap all this up. All right, I'm sitting here with Samantha Taylor Music. Well, Samantha Taylor, I guess, but it's so funny that everybody goes by Twitch handle, Samantha Taylor Music. See, is that how you sign documents now? Samantha Taylor Music.
I love it though, because people recognize the fact that I do music, which is the whole point of my socials mostly. So that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Sounds
well,
official.
Welcome to the Do More Cool Shit podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so
Yeah.
excited. This is so cool.
Yeah, and it's been a long time coming, because we originally talked about this, I think in December of last year or something. I think we were briefly talking. I thought I was going to come back in February, and then I took a longer break and to switch some things up. And this is going to be the first video recorded podcast.
I can't believe it's been over a year since that conversation. I know it's been a while, but time is not even a real thing anymore. It's
right.
It's crazy.
Well, and now I'm glad it is, and I'm glad it took us this long, because now so many more things have happened.
Yeah. Timing just seems to happen when it's supposed to, I guess.
Yeah, more singles. We wouldn't have had this many plants behind you this time last year.
Yeah. I had this many plants, but they weren't right here. They were like outside or scattered as close to any of my 3 windows that I could find. So, yeah.
Now you've got this whole setup going. I
Now
love it.
people
I love it.
understand planty on my channel because I like my
Right,
plants.
yeah.
Yeah. At first, it's like, well, that's random. I'm like, no, I love my plants.
Yeah. So I want to jump right into it. I want to ask you about your journey. So you have been making, creating, doing music for a long time, I believe.
Yeah.
Like how long?
Uh, well, I always say my parents said I started singing before I could talk, and I started talking at 10 months old, and I haven't shut up since. That's what they say. So I've been like humming and singing forever, and then I started playing guitar when I was 11. That's when my dad got me my first guitar, and so um, I mostly wanted to play guitar just so like I could sing and accompany myself. So yeah, I started taking lessons from like a family friend, one of my dad's coworkers. I took lessons for almost a year. And I started entering like talent shows right away. Like 3 months after my first guitar lesson, I was like
You're
just
in.
this little kid. I was like, "There's a talent show. I want to do it." So I woke up my family at like 5:30 in the morning because my bus for school came at 6:30. So my little fifth grade self, I think I was fifth grade,
Yeah.
something like that. So I'd wake them all up with my acoustic guitar. Like you can't plug that into headphones or anything. Just like terribly strumming the same Taylor Swift song over and over for like a month to get ready for this talent show. But hey, they liked it. They liked seeing that I was actually like interested in something and going for it. So yeah.
What do you think sparked like the desire to do a talent show right away? You're like, I want to share this.
Well, I just thought that like that's what you do like when you're a singer. Like you go in front of people and you sing. Like I grew up I mostly started singing at church. Like the first time I was on stage, I was 3 by myself. I sang the Bible song. And like growing up going to church, like everyone sang, like everyone got up on stage, and I think that's why I've never really had stage fright or anything. Like I just thought it was something fun to do. And I was like, well, if I'm singing, then I should sing with people. So let's go do this. So yeah.
And people were supportive, obviously. Like,
Yeah, my parents have always been like both of them have been super supportive of the music like the entire time. So, I mean,
yeah.
you know, my mom still watches like every single one of my streams that she can make it to, which is super cool cuz she's all the way in Texas. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We always see Mama Christie in there.
It's
Pumping
awesome.
up.
I love that she's like engaged with the chat too. Like she's not just a mom being like, "Oh, there's my daughter on a screen."
Yeah.
Like she gets to know everyone, and she's super funny and really cool. And it's been cool having my parents like transition from the guiding parents to like the supportive like almost friends, but they're still
Right.
my parents, and that I can lean on them when I need to. So yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You've been so playing music for such a long time. Do you think on this podcast we're always talking about that the desire to like do stuff, but then like having that resistance, and but I guess yeah, that was just never a thing for you, because especially in the church setting, in a family setting, that people were just supportive of that talent, which I think is so interesting. Um, was there ever a moment in your life when you were doing music that you were like, maybe I shouldn't do this, or
Uh, I don't know. Like growing up, I was always really good at school. Like I was very book smart, but I was
yeah,
very socially awkward and shy. Actually, it wasn't
just when
until
you
I
were
was
younger, not now. That
yeah,
was
yeah.
younger.
I
When you
mean,
were
I'm
younger, not now
I'm
at
still
all.
awkward, but I just embrace it, and like I'm not shy about it anymore.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I was much more shy, just socially, but I knew I was book smart, and then also like we didn't grow up with like a ton of money at the house, and so my my thinking brain was like, okay, should I get like a steady job? Like I might not like it as much, but I'd be more secure.
Mm.
Or should I go for music, which I have no idea what the path is. I have no idea where like even now, like sometimes I'm like, okay, how does money actually play into this? Because like I want to do this, but I want to let it be fun, but I also have to like, live, and you need money to live. So, but yeah, it's mostly just like the realistic overthinking side of my brain that kind
Mm.
of made me question, like, should I do this? Like, what makes me special or different from other people trying to do this? Like, why do I deserve to do this? Like, these are just thoughts that have gone through my head. And then also, I think there have been other times, like when it comes to live shows, especially, a lot of gigs are more like in, bar settings or like loud, crazy venues. And, my music, like in general, I'm more of like the softer solo acoustic type. So going into a bar trying to play these acoustic love songs, sometimes it doesn't always register the best.
Yeah.
I mean, I've added more variety to my set since then, but I know there were times where I'm like, do I actually want to just play what everyone else wants to hear, that they're not actually paying attention? They just want to hear songs they're familiar with in a crazy setting. No one actually cares. And that kind of like made my heart kind of sad. But
Yeah.
but then I'm like, no, this is just the point where I just want people to notice that I exist, and then the people that will care will still continue to stay with me. So, but no, honestly, if I, like you mentioned, I've always had that support, family, friends, church wise, and everything. And like you hear about all these artists that had those times where like either a family member wasn't supportive, or and they had to push through that. Like
Yeah.
as a person, like I just feel like God knew that I couldn't handle that and I would have given up. So I feel like I don't know if I would have pushed through that like so many other people had to. And I feel really blessed that I didn't have to go through that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah.
But that actually, that what you're talking about there gave me some thoughts. So, the gig economy and like being in a bar or being in a spot where like people they didn't come for the music.
Right. I
That's
mean, like
such
my 5 people in the beginning did.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like
especially when I
that's such a
transplanted to
hard
Buffalo.
right. That's such a hard thing, right? To
Yeah.
like the persistence to just get up there. So did you do were you a gig musician kind of doing bar like were you doing a lot of shows before pandemic
Yeah.
times?
So I played the most live shows when I was still living in Texas. So I went to college when I was like almost 17. I went to community college from like 17 to 19.
Mm.
And I went for music. So I made a lot of friends that were already playing live shows in the area. And like they kind of helped me like just do like song swaps on their shows. And then the owner would book me for more shows. So I played a lot more in Texas, which it did help having my friends there with me in the beginning. Which I feel like in Texas, it was a little bit more chill, like on what
Yeah.
songs you could get away with. Um, but yeah, I when I was towards the end of college, I would play like 2 or 3 shows a week, which was cool on top of like
Yeah.
doing my schoolwork and then working a restaurant job. It was really cool. I got to quit my restaurant job once the gigs started picking up. So I was like, okay, I went to college for this. I'm starting
Yeah.
to do the music for my income. This is really cool. I'm focused. And then I moved to Buffalo, and like I hardly knew anyone. Uh, it's like intimidating to like go to a new city and then
Right.
walk up to business owners and be like, hi, can I play at your venue? No one knows who I am, but I promise I'm worth giving this time slot to. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was definitely really shy for a little bit. And then the pandemic hit. And honestly, at that point, I was like, I should have done something else. I can't do music. Like, I can't
Right.
play. I didn't know about Twitch yet.
Yeah, yeah. So
So,
that, yeah, I was gonna ask you what brought you to
yeah.
go live on Twitch, but I assumed like so many other musicians and artists, it had to do with the pandemic. But like, what an interesting world that. So is that was what brought you to come over to Twitch?
Yeah, so I actually, one of my old friends, he was showing me like a video game streamer because we were trying to figure out this game. And so I was like, I don't get this game. And he's like, well, just watch this person play this. I was like, what is
Yeah.
Twitch?
Yeah.
And then as he was getting to it, I was like, wait, did that say music? Like, I just saw the icon for the music section. And so I went and looked at it, and Tyler Love's Music was the first streamer that I watched, and he was already doing like all the looping and interacting, and then I just popped on, and I didn't even say anything yet, but like as I was popping in, he was talking about, he's like, some people ask me that are interested in streaming, like if I should stream, and he's like, I just say for anyone that's even thinking about it, just go for it. Like, you have nothing to lose. It's a great community. And like in my head, I'm like, I haven't played a show in so long. Like, I don't know anything about this technology thing. I didn't know it would take me 2 weeks of watching YouTube videos to figure out how to get my camera on. But yeah, that's how it started. Was just, I just kind of saw the music logo on Twitch and then started watching. Like, I watched Tyler Loves, Matt Walden. Um, um, I'm like trying to think back to like that day of like over 2 years ago at this point.
Right.
But it
Did
was
you go
just
down?
crazy.
So you like went down like a little rabbit hole of like, I just need to watch all these people.
Yeah, and well, I just was curious about what it was about, and then I got that itch. It's like when you go to a concert. Like, I don't know, I'm sure you've had this feeling, like you see someone doing something that you enjoy, and you're like, okay, I need to do this like now. Like, I just So I had that feeling, and I was super nervous because I'm still not a big technology person. But I was like, I need, and in my head, it wasn't for like growing on Twitch. I was like, well, I'm sitting in my room anyways. Like, maybe, my mom or my family or my friends that are in Texas that can't come to my live shows since I moved to New York, maybe they'd want to watch and learn some new songs or,
because you have a crazy large library of songs now on your song list. Did you always know all those songs before Twitch, or did that kind of encourage you to learn all those freaking songs? Like, what it's like how big is it actually? There's tons, isn't there? I
think there's like 580 something.
I was gonna say 100, like 500 and some. That's crazy. Just knows, like, just knows how to play 580 some songs.
Well, they're definitely not by memory. Like, I still have to look up like the chords and the lyrics from my little cheat sheet. So but yeah, no, I started with like 100 something songs, and then it's cool because in chat sometimes people will be like, hey, do you know this song? And like I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot all about it. Like, I hadn't played it before, but I'll look it up and then play it, and then we add it to the song list. But there's other times where there's songs like I've never heard before, so I'll put them in like a Spotify playlist and get familiar with them, and then eventually try them. And then there were actually a bunch of songs, like I'm sure you recognize this, but there's a lot of songs that I was familiar with, but I'm like, my voice can't handle that song yet, so I'm gonna wait. And then like I finally got the courage to like try those songs, and I've found parts of my voice that I was always like afraid of. Like, I still have that feeling sometimes where I'm like, I could probably push my voice a little more, but I'm scared too because I don't want to like damage my voice, or I don't want it to sound like a dying cat. So
both valid reasons.
Yeah.
But the word courage, so that comes up a lot on here, and I'm always fascinated by what gives you or any creator courage. Like, I find there's so many people that want to do things but don't, and that's the whole reason for Do More Cool Shit is like, what's the reason to push beyond that fear and that doubt? Like, what gives you that courage that other people maybe don't have? How can they learn? Tell us the Samantha secret.
See, that's funny that you say that, because for this year, like, I don't really do New Year's resolutions, but like my birthday is so close to the beginning of the year, I'm like, okay, 25, and I kind of tell that's how old I am now, but I don't know, this is just like the year is the age of being whatever age that is. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm 25 now, like, and I know it came up on stream the other day, I'm like, if I live to be 100, this is a quarter of my life already, and it's going so fast, and there's so many things that I want to do. And like, I know some people were saying that like it's like such a dark, morbid thought. I'm like, but it's not though. Like, it's just a reality that we only have so much time, and there's so many things I want to do. I'm like, this is the year I stop getting in my own way. Like, this is the year that I just, because I get in my way more than anything else. Like, there's always people telling me, you got this, you could do this, like, go for it. I'm the one that stops myself.
Yeah.
And so, like, when I think about all the things that I want to do, and I'm at a position in my life right now where I can do whatever I want to. I'm the only one stopping myself. So, I think like that's a huge part of what does motivate me. Like, as probably dark as it sounds, is like I know that you know the timer is ticking, and
Yeah.
it's
I
like
got shit to get done.
yeah, and it's that's why I wrote like that lyric in one of my new songs, because I don't want to wonder at the end of my life, you know.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so I don't want to have that regret.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's where a lot of it comes from, and then also too, like I want to be proud of myself, and I won't do that. Like every time that like I do get nervous, there's a lot of times I do get nervous or scared, and then I don't do anything. I freeze, but I
Right.
always kick myself for it later. So I just have to remind myself of that. I'm like, just go for it. Just do it. So trust yourself.
Well, and
So
what's the worst that's good? So, like, do you like what's the worst that's going to happen? Right? Is that something
yeah,
that pops into your head?
uh, yeah, and I think that question's gotten easier over time because, like you said, I
Yeah.
have been singing for so long,
Right.
and then also having that support from everyone, the occasional troll and stuff that we do get, it's so much easier to deal with them, especially like as you get older and the more it happens, you're like,
Mm.
that didn't actually affect me. Like, yeah, it's annoying and for like that split second, and you're like, oh, but then it's like, and
Yeah.
so
And
yeah,
what?
and then
Yeah.
I love Casey Musgrave's Cup of Tea. I know you know I love Casey
Yeah.
Musgraves,
Yeah.
but I feel like her song Cup of Tea like pops up every single
Mm.
time that someone either doesn't like my goofiness or the way I sing or anything. I'm
Sure.
like, everyone's not for everyone. Like we don't have the energy capacity to make everyone happy or to even care about every single opinion out there. Like we don't have the time or energy for it. So it's okay. It would be too much if everyone liked us. Like that'd be way too much. Way
Yeah.
too much
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah, that's such a good way of looking at it too, and I love that. I feel like in almost any situation, because your amount of knowledge of music, you're like, there's a lyric that I once heard that says this. I feel like you
Yeah.
probably have that just always rolling around in your head, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's like Maren Morris's song, A Song
Yeah,
for Everything. Like it's true.
yeah,
And I think that's
yeah.
why I love music so much. And like people ask where I get my inspiration from. And
Mm,
honestly, I feel like it's that fact right there. Like
yeah.
everything that I'm going through, there's a song for it that helps my heart.
Mm,
So like I don't know, like I want to do that and I want to help people feel whatever they need to feel. And that's why I like that's why I say I'm a lyric person. Like yeah, I
yeah,
kind of over time I guess I have a sound. I still don't know what it is. Other people recognize it, but I don't. I'm just singing.
yeah,
But yeah, I just like lyrics. They're my favorite. And that's where I get a lot of inspiration from. And that's why I like very straightforward songs. Like people say I'm very
mm,
mainstream, but that's because the mainstream songs are like just cut and dry to the point, get
right.
this message across, and you know the feeling, you know what it's about. And I love that, you
Yeah,
know? And that's something that I want to be able to do. I don't want to write like all these super cryptic songs. Like, yeah, I'm sure there's going to be ones that have like hidden meanings or whatever for myself personally,
sure.
but I don't know. I want to be more like just like open and straightforward with my songs because I feel like that's what helps people the most, or at
Right.
least it does for me. So
Yeah, I mean, well, a song. I mean, we've had songs around us for like thousands of years, right?
yeah,
And
we
like they
just keep
do
rewriting
affect.
them a different way.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's like everybody's. It's funny that you just said that because that's something that flipped a switch in my head right now. Actually, so I've had this conversation recently where it's like, should I be making a podcast? Should I make a movie? Should I, what? Should I be writing this book? Should I do whatever? And it's like, well, and I've always had that doubt of like, because people have definitely said like, oh, you should, with all your experiences and your travels and everything else, you should write a book. And I was like, everything I'm going to write about is already been written about. Like, I don't need to say it again. But
Right.
I have other friends who are saying, yes, but you're going to say it in your voice. And the
Exactly.
same thing I think with music. Like, of course, like, I think there's, what are you going to sing about that's like totally earth shattering and, it's already been sang about. But what about
Yeah.
you? But it's your voice and your life and your emotions and opinions, right?
Right. Well, and also too, like you got to think about it. Not every single person has heard every single song, so maybe it's the
Yeah.
same message, but that
Right.
song hasn't reached that person that needs to hear that
Right.
message. And like I love that you say that you feel that too, because same. Um, yeah, it's like why is it special or different if I say it? Like I'm literally just taking the messages that I've learned through life, that I've learned from other
Yeah.
people, and we all have a really similar experience, but it's the way you explain it or the way you word it, or just the fact that like the people that know you and trust you might actually listen to you, you know?
Yeah.
So,
It might resonate, right? Like there's you
yeah.
never know. Um, yeah, yeah, you just never know what. And so like so why not? So why not put it out there? It's part of the
Yeah.
reason that like I always the book thing has been a thing in my side for a long time. So I've had friends who have told me many times to write books about whatever entrepreneurship, life coaching, travel, all this stuff that I've like been doing, and I'm very resistant to it because
Why?
all
But why though? Like I think
because,
that would be awesome. Like I would totally read it, because I just would love to be able to pick your brain about so many
because
things, and like you
well
have that knowledge.
I think I'm resistant because I've started writing a few books actually. I've started writing 3 books, but
Okay.
they're very short.
That's okay.
Because every time I'm like to the point, right? And it's like I don't think that like so many self-help books are filled with so much fluff.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I just need to write something that's like 8 pages long and that's it, And it's like,
Well,
can I distill all the things into 8 pages?
yeah. So, I mean, he's sitting right here. Like, is it okay? I'm just gonna say something about him real quick. He does not
Yeah.
like to read. Rob's over there, but
This is
he
your
doesn't
partner,
like
your
to
life
read.
partner.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
currently my boyfriend, but yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, he doesn't like to read. So I think something like straight to the point would be super helpful for people that don't want to read.
Yeah.
He calls this my music Bible because it kind of looks like it without the
Oh
cover.
my
This is
God.
my book.
What? Yeah.
It's
What is
like
that?
it's like 500 something pages. He wouldn't want to read
Holy-
this.
Wait. What is that though?
Okay, so it's my new favorite book, How to Make
Whoa,
It
how to
the
make-
New Music Business,
Oh man.
by Ari Herstand. And I actually have the first edition of this. This just came out. And it's funny that you're actually talking about how there's so much fluff, but I really love this book because it feels like you're just having a conversation with someone. It's not like a textbook. Like it's such an easy read. Like I've only sat down to read it once. I was actually going to do
Yeah.
that after this today, is read
Yeah.
more. But yeah, I have a Christmas card as my bookmark. But I read like the first 100
Nice.
pages, and it's such an easy read because it's so conversational. I'm someone that likes to read though. So, but I love
Well,
it.
this was my consolation because I was like, okay, I don't want to write a book just yet, but I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I want to have conversations with people about this stuff because
Yeah.
I think I love like I'll consume this content all day long. I want to be a part of the conversations, and when conversations are happening, I'm like, oh yeah, I just want to be a part of that. And part of this was like finding a way to make something happen. And like the first whole season was all audio only because I just wanted to make that happen, right? Like I was like, I
Right.
just need to sit down
to
and do
start.
this, and I can't worry about camera setups and lighting and all this other crap. I don't want to worry about any of that stuff. So I made it simple, and that was like I still love. That's like the easiest piece of information I think for any
Yeah.
creative. Still is like the KISS principle, to keep it simple,
Keep it
stupid.
simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was
I have
like-
to remind myself that all the time. Like it doesn't
Oh
have to be
my
perfect.
God.
You just have to do something.
I have a sign that I've lived a long time with, and it's just done is better than perfect.
Yes. And that's
And I was
something I
like,
have to
"Oh."
get through my perfectionist brain.
Yeah.
All
Well,
the
you and I
time.
have talked about that a lot because I know you and I have talked about like, should I have this? Should I do it more pro like? Should I just sit down and throw my phone up and like record and throw it out? And I know you've done both.
Yeah,
You know?
it's actually funny you mentioned that because yesterday I accidentally scheduled 2 YouTube videos for the same day
Yeah.
within a few hours of each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, I forgot that, like, because I had that video scheduled forever ago. It was back when I was doing all the Christmas covers. And so I recorded a song that wasn't a Christmas song, so I pushed it for after the Christmas season was over.
Right.
And I totally forgot till I woke up yesterday morning that I scheduled it. But I'd also recorded a newer one to be scheduled for this weekend. I like to post one every weekend. And so they came out within a few hours of each other. And the one that I recorded like super raw, just straight into the camera, has like twice as many views as the one like I said, I just figured out how to record 4K in my camera. I was like, oh my gosh, this video looks so good. That one has half the views, and they were published like both yesterday.
Right.
So yeah, literally just yesterday I posted a 4K recorded into my condenser microphone, and then with harmonies and all that jazz, and then the one recorded straight into my camera with just a simple external mic, and that one's doing so much better. I don't even think I edited the thumbnail for it. So
I'm probably I'm probably so much faster. Just put it out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the thing we forget too. I think like when we're and I'm saying we as creatives, like when we're looking at people, you're like, oh, that's so polished and that's so awesome and it's so great. Yes. But it's like, I wish or I hope, and then I think, but that I think it can motivate you, but I think it also demotivate you because you're like, oh, I don't have this microphone or that microphone.
Or I don't know how to edit this way.
I don't have this camera or whatever the thing is that stops you from it. And I know I'm guilty of it. I think pretty much every creative's guilty of it until you just start making stuff. And then you're like, oh, whew, like I made it and it's out.
Right. And then you can learn tiny little bits along the way. And then also I like doing this mix of like the super duper raw. And then if I feel like if I have the time to, add some harmonies or something.
Sure.
Like having that mix also just to, because I get people saying all the time, stop using auto-tune. Like you see it on my streams all the time. I don't have auto-tune. It's just reverb.
I've seen that, yeah.
But I feel like putting that mix shows that like it really is just me, and like just showing that like, I don't know, I feel like it helps be more relatable while still being able to put out stuff that like I'm more excited about as like the creative person, like the more polished stuff. But like, I don't know.
It's a balance, right? I think it's a good balance, and it's like don't forget that. And like, I kind of love that. Phones have come such a long way now because like literally you can just take it out and like record anything anytime. Yeah. And I think that's another thing that I don't know if you get this, but when I watch, so in my industry for making videos, I'll watch behind the scenes, and you'll see like, they've got three $10,000 different cameras, and like they've got lenses and stuff, and you're like, oh, I don't have any of that stuff. But you forget that, like, they didn't start with that.
No.
They started with a tiny little handheld camera. Like, nobody started with all these things. It's like the old adage of, like, a young person walks into a wood shop and, like, sees 9 million pieces of, like, woodworking tools. And it's like, oh, my God, I wish I could... and I can't start because I don't have these things. But the guy's like, I'm 80 years old. I started collecting these when I was 12,
Yeah. Well, and that's really funny you mentioned that, too, because I actually started my YouTube channel when I was, like, 14. I had to use my mom's account. I wasn't allowed to have my own yet. But I used to have just an iPod Touch with the front-facing camera. I would just set it. I'd go outside, set it on a music stand, and then just sing the song. And, like... And it was super fun. Like, I was excited just to do it, And then I look around now, and, like, it's funny because every now and then I have, like, friends come over, and they see, like, my studio setup for the first time. They're like, wow, you have so much stuff. Like, I mean, it's not like I have a crazy amount of stuff, but it is nice things. But I have accumulated those even over years as well. It's not like I just went out one day with my credit card and said, all right, Best Buy Ultimate Guitars. I'm like, we're just gonna buy everything. No.
Yeah.
No, it's been a lot of research and time, and well, I would have been overwhelmed if I would have just gotten all this at once and been like, okay, now use it. That's not, And it's honestly refreshing, like when I do just use like my phone or just right into the camera, like it brings the focus back to the music, not on the production of it. And sometimes I feel like I do a better take when it's just raw. So
well, I love I mean, we've talked about things, you've sent me stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's freaking great, I love this. It's like it was just you doing the thing, and you can tell like you're just loving the process of it, which I think we all forget at some point. And you get in your head of like, oh, I have to like make sure I have this and that. So like even my journey into live streams, so like I've been doing a few little live streams here and there, and it's like I always have to make things like extra complicated. So like I started with 5 cameras and a camera switcher,
Oh my God. I don't even know how to use those.
Why would anybody do that? Like why? And it was fun, but like I also ran into problems, which then also, you know, made me double think like, oh, should I be doing this or whatever? And it's like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, I don't know. It's funny. It's like you get in your head like, oh, I'm going to do it bigger, grander, better. And it's like, well, also you could probably just use one camera, you know, it's probably fine.
I
It's
mean,
like,
yeah, those effects are cool and all, but like ultimately, everyone's just there to see you and hang out with
yeah,
you, and
yeah,
you know. And it's I always have to remind myself. Everyone says the audio quality is more important than the video, anyways.
yeah,
So,
right.
like, just reminding yourself little things like that help encourage you when you feel stuck about
Yeah.
something.
And I think you forget, like, you just hit the nail on the head too. Like, people are there to see you, like, they're
Yeah.
connecting with you. Like, is you know, your music's awesome and it's great, but also they just like love you and your personality, and they get drawn in, especially on Twitch. But I think you think about like like, you know, artists that you like. Is it that their song is or their music is so overwhelmingly better than everybody else's, or is it partly part of their personality? Right?
It's like their whole vibe, but it's a weird
Yeah.
thought as that person. Like, I'm sure you get this too. It's like, yeah, but I'm just being me. Like, I'm not like
Right.
doing something. And like
Right.
I think I'm realizing like we will never see ourselves the way
Yeah.
like everyone else does. You know, like
Yeah.
the things that make me cringe when I look back at videos, like people like that. And I'm
Right.
like, I don't get it, but that's
Right.
cool. Or like even reading this book, it talks about, you know, artist image and stuff like that. And I'm
Mm.
like, I don't even know. Like, I mean, obviously, like, it does take more thought, and I haven't really put any actual thought into it yet. But,
Right.
like, just at a quick glance, I'm like, what is like my artist image? Like, how do I come across to people? Like, I don't know, and I wish I could just ask everyone. You know, I'll be like super blunt with me.
Right.
When you
Right.
when you think of me, my personality, my streams, my look, like, what do you think? Because I don't. It's so hard to put yourself in that perspective. So I think that's why it's easy to forget that people are there for us as people.
Right. Yeah.
Because we're just doing our thing. Like, we don't intentionally do a lot of those things.
Well, and like
So.
I think you're still on that journey too. Like you said, like you're on
Yeah,
that journey of
yeah.
figuring it. Like how many months ago was it now that you just started using explicit words in your songs?
I know. Well,
You
I
know?
think, you know, as and I know we talked about this before we actually started, but I think that goes back to me liking the authority figure and liking, like, needing that reassurance of, yes, I'm doing this right. I'm, you know, but that didn't leave room for like me as my own individual and what I
Right.
think is okay.
Yeah.
And like allowing myself to be my own person. So I think I'm finally at that point of, you know, not being as hard on myself and not instantly thinking, oh, well, what would so and so think of this? Would so and so say
Right.
this is good or bad? Or I'm like, what do I think?
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
I'm finally at that point where I'm going more internal versus external, because if I try to make everyone happy, I'll never be happy.
Yeah. No.
So,
No, you'll be
and the
running
thing
in
is,
circles.
yeah, I have to like come to peace with the people that truly do understand me and vibe with me, will stick around, and it's gonna suck, but I know that there's gonna be people that are like,
Yeah.
it's like those images where it's like you've changed, and it's like this little person that has flowers growing out of their head now, and they're like, I know, we're supposed to, it's called growth.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I keep that image in my head a lot too, just trying to be comfortable. I don't say it like that. Comfortable and confident with like the choices that I know in my head and in my heart are me and not anyone else. So.
Yeah, and I think like there's also tons of time to play with what that even looks like. Like, do I like?
Yeah.
Like I remember when I started this project, and it was like the Do More Cool Shit project.
Yeah.
I very deliberately used the word shit, and
Yeah.
because I wanted it to, like, I'm okay with a little bit of swearing, and I'm okay with like a little bit of impact. And I remember some folks in my life were like, "Oh, that's
gonna turn people away."
And I'm like, "That's okay. That's okay, because
Yeah.
it's not for them. Like, that's
Right. Well,
it's
and
okay.
that's the
This
thing
is not
too.
for
I vibe
them."
with that. Yeah.
And I'm like, there are so many other things they can go listen to.
Right.
But I think there, like you said earlier, like there are things that people will be like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm down with this vibe.
Right.
You know?
It's edgy. I like that you do that. And it's funny because like I started streaming when I was like definitely still in that super mentality of, you know, just keep everything pleasant for everyone and all that. So, I don't know, but like as a person, I'm like I want to, and I'm definitely still like the same person when I'm live, but I have a very natural filter. Like I grew up around a bunch of kids and like spent a lot of time with grandparents, like just all the different, and I like to be
Right.
respectful of, people's stuff. But the older I get, the more I realize that like people are people, and it doesn't matter what
Yeah.
age they are.
Yeah.
Like you're allowed to be yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, well, I think that it's just always such a journey, and I think it's so interesting to like watch how that journey, where that takes us, and like watching people be like, oh, this is actually how I want to be, or maybe I don't even know yet. I just want to try this out, and
yeah,
I think I think that I talk about that a lot, and I used to run every couple of years I would run a program with youth coming out of rehab and coming out of juvenile delinquent halls, and man, talk about like some of those young people wanted to make changes in their life, big changes, and their friends would hate on them, and it's like, yeah, but because they don't want you to change, they
right,
want you to they want to remember you the way you were when you were 8 or 10 or 12, or the same things with family. Like I remember I don't know, when I moved out on my own and all of a sudden I was like, I don't want to eat this anymore, or
yeah,
I do eat these things, and my mother being like, bringing me something and being like, you love this, and I was like, no, I don't anymore. And she's like, but you used to, and I'm like, yeah, I used to,
yeah, yeah.
but now I've changed.
And your taste buds do change every so
Yeah, yeah,
often. It's true, but
yeah. And I'm just like, I don't know, I don't want to eat that anymore. I don't want to have these in my house, or whatever. It's like, thank you, but that
yeah,
being a very hard concept uh
even for
for
something so simple, yeah,
yeah, for her to like fully grasp was like, but you used to love these things. I'm like, yeah, but that was 10 years ago.
right,
Like,
right. Just
you
because
know
you're not a kid doesn't mean you're not still growing.
right. Yeah, and I think we forget that, and we can get harsh on ourselves, and I think we can also like be like, oh, this is a habit, I must do this for the rest of my life, and it's
Right.
like, no,
People
you
already
don't.
identify me as this, so
Yeah. No, you
yeah,
don't. You can change anytime you want. Like,
exactly.
you can make any change you want at any point, and it's like, yeah, there's going to be lots of hard factors, and there's going to be a lot of people that are probably going to want to, stick you in the same, like, we don't,
Yes.
we're not good at change, we're not
Right.
good at like accepting change and accepting change in others, where it's like, if you had a bunch of friends that wanted to go out and drink all the time, and then you just all of a sudden don't want to drink, well, it's like, well, you don't like us anymore? I was like, no, it has nothing to do with that.
Right, right.
you
It's just
know?
like I just don't know what to do. Like
Yeah.
if we could find something else to do, that'd
Yeah.
be great. But
Sure.
yeah, yeah. But no, it actually just made me think and like made me realize just talking to you right now, like, you know, for so long we do search for acceptance from other people. I think we need to just find the acceptance about our change with ourselves,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Agreed.
Yeah, so I feel like once you accept who you are, it'll be easier because you already have your own acceptance. You don't have to have it from everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I
so
feel like
hard.
that'd be
Like,
liberating, you know?
yeah, I think it's so hard though. Like, we're just not. We're like, you know, uh, conditioned,
No.
to want to fit in, to be a part of the group. Which, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think there's like so little time and effort put into like, who are you as a person? And like, we don't do that at all. Like, in what point of your life do you ever sit down, like in like when you're young, when you're in formative years? We don't have
Yeah.
any classes. We don't have any like time or period to like do any of that stuff, And I think it's getting less and less now, especially, and maybe this is old person talking, but like, you've got your phone, you've got your social media, you've got, you're in school, but even when you're not in school, you're still being affected by all those people
Yeah.
and things. And I mean, that's existed for years, because like you get affected by the radio and, the newspaper and all those things. Um,
Yeah.
but it's like, yeah, I don't know. We don't spend a lot of time talking about who we are as human beings.
Yeah.
And I think we can like get lost in that. And then I think something tragic has to happen, or something big has to happen, or like we backpack across Europe alone, right? Like that's always the, I'm going to go find myself. And it's like,
Right. But like,
lucky if you get to do that, maybe.
Turn off the TV for a little bit and just sit in silence, maybe. Like, that's when I write. That's when I write songs. Like, when I do feel inspired, it's because I tell myself, I'm like, no, I'm just gonna sit and be in my own mind for a minute.
Yeah.
Like, we don't do that.
Yeah.
Like you said, we're like constantly intaking everything, whether we're in school or at work or just checking off our to-do list. Like, I find myself sometimes being like, okay, I need everything in my brain to just shut up for a minute and just, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? And you're right, we don't take enough time. Like, I probably have so many albums written already if I would do that more often. So,
yeah. I think it's I don't know. I think that's really important. I think it's important for creatives to do that and to unplug. Well, I think it's important for anybody, but I really think it's important for creatives to totally unplug and like just, who am I as a person and what am I doing, and like I go live on an island for a week or something, or like spend 5 minutes.
Challenge though, like finding that balance, because like I know I mentioned on stream the other day, like sometimes like I feel like I'm never doing enough because people are always like, oh, have you learned my song yet? Have you done this? Have you done that? And I'm like, in my heart, my goal is to be able to write more original music. I'm like, I can't even breathe. And like, I feel bad because sometimes when I'm, not streaming, like I love that people want to reach out and want to communicate and talk to me. Like, I think that is incredible that people care enough to do that, you know?
Right.
But like, I also, I'm very grateful because those are the people that are supporting me to do my music. And so like, I don't ever want people to feel like they're unappreciated. And then in return, I put probably unnecessary pressure on myself.
Right.
And then I feel guilty when I step away from, like, I probably couldn't even do one day, 0 social media, 0 messages, 0. So it's like, where do you find that balance? Like, do you just have to have the discipline to just shut it off? Like, should you just like, post on your story, like, hey, I'm just going to take some time, like, I feel like we have to let people know, or do you not?
No, or just do it.
So
no,
hard.
Just do it. No, I think you just got to do it. So this was one thing that I said in the first podcast. One thing that I'm trying to work on this year is, instead of announcing the thing I'm going to do, I just want to do it. I was like, why do I feel the need to announce all the thing? I'm like, oh, I'm going to be doing that. And it's like, no, just fucking do it.
Right. And also, like, I think we think people care more than they do.
Yeah, right.
But then also the other comes around and be like, oh, people wouldn't care about that. Just like how they like our personalities. And they're like, no, but we do care. And we want all the things. And I'm like, I don't even know. It's a strange thing to like try to navigate.
It's a tricky balance.
And still communicate that you appreciate and love the people that are supporting you.
Well, and those who really truly appreciate and care and love you know that, and it's like, the ones who are like lamenting that they don't get enough of you, or they need more of you, or like, oh, whoa, imagine if I don't have a day with like one piece of content from you. It's like, all right, well, then you also need to go touch grass and get some air.
Yeah, they need to find their fulfillment in life from other things too.
Yeah, for sure. And
I mean,
I
even
think
in a personal relationship, like, you still have to have your own things that you do, or else you're going to turn into like a sibling rivalry almost feeling, where you're just at each other's throats.
Right. I think I think, and especially now, as someone who's streaming and having a following and has, people watching, I think it's really important to exhibit that healthy behavior, and be like, I'm gonna I'm Thursday is no internet day, and it's like,
that would be so hard. Like, I'm addicted to it at this point. Like, that would be probably a really great challenge for me. That would probably be
one day
healthy,
a month.
Like you
Try
said.
it. Try one, like just one day. Pick one random day in a month, and like don't just shut the internet off, and don't read your book, go outside, whatever, play with your dog, pet your plants.
Maybe I'll have to pet my plants. Well, I'll pet the stuffed one. My succulents, they wouldn't really like that if I did that. But I honestly, like, even just thinking about it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to tell myself, don't obsess over what I can't access. Think about what can I do? Like, what?
Imagine how much music you'd record.
I know. Oh, now I'm like getting excited about it. And I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm hanging up now. I'm gonna go meditate and sit with my guitar and write songs.
Love it. Love it.
I'm such an extreme human. It's ridiculous.
All right, we've touched on we've said it a few times. Your original music.
Yeah.
Can you tell me you've written 2 new songs fairly recently?
Yeah.
Maybe in the last couple months now. Tell me about that process because I know you were a little bit hesitant to write songs or
Yeah.
share them.
So, yeah, and I kind of mentioned it earlier how like the songs that I love the most are like the straightforward ones where you know what the
Mm-hmm.
songs are about. And like I don't know, I feel like most people they do write from like their own experiences and things that can be like pretty personal to them. Like it doesn't have to be super serious all the time, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's still like a personal piece of your heart going out into the world. But then when you put it in the mindset of um, how could this touch other people's life in their scenario, you have to remind yourself they're going to take it
Mm.
for they're not trying to read into your life, they're trying to feel
Right.
it for what it means for them, so that
Yeah.
takes some of the pressure off. But yeah, I hadn't written music in a long time, and I think that's because I was going through a lot of feelings that like I didn't know how to process,
Mm.
or like I didn't want like yeah, I was going through a really hard time for a little while, and like I didn't want to write a song that would like come across as this doesn't sound like me,
Right.
even though that's what
Yeah.
I was feeling. So I just kind of like took some time to just not write anything. And I felt really uninspired. Like I feel the most inspired when I'm happy. People say it's hard to write
Mm.
happy songs and love songs. Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. But then like recently, I actually was, like I said, sitting in my living room by myself in the quiet. I'm looking at my living room right now. And I just it was actually in one of those moments of doubt. Like the one I'm talking about is, I think, this one's like probably your favorite one, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. 100%.
So
Yeah.
it's not released yet, obviously, but it's called I'll Try. I'm trying so hard to get into the studio right now. Like I don't know why it's so hard to schedule a day, but
Yeah.
I'm still going back and forth. But it's just about what we were talking about earlier, like those moments of doubt and resistance. Like that's exactly what this song is about.
Yeah.
About having this like dream in your heart and feeling like, is it worth it? Is it gonna work? Am I being smart? And then it's like, but then you tune into your true inner self and you're like, but I have to try.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have that regret. So I love how like I kept thinking about my song whenever we were talking earlier. I'm like, yo, I'm like, this is literally perfect. Like that's all the answers to all those questions was that song.
Yeah.
Honestly.
That's
And I wrote that for myself. So I don't know. I don't really have much of a process for writing. I feel like I do the lyrics and the melodies at the same time, at least right now. I haven't
Mm.
written that many songs, but whenever I have written songs, that's kind of how it happens. Is I'll sit with my guitar and I'll just kind of play a few chords and try to find like a tempo or a rhythm that I like, and then start like singing one line. And then I'll listen to it like in my head. I'll sing it over and over. I'm like, I kind of like that line, and then I'll just try to write more words that fit that similar melody. Um, I don't know. I don't pick out the melodies on like the guitar or the piano or anything. I just sing it in my head. I don't know.
Right.
I when I was in college, my professor said that I had a good ear for just hearing melodic things and just making
Mm.
up melodic lines. So I wish I had a more concrete, solid answer of where they come from.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, they just kind of materialize in my brain, just I guess from all the years of listening to music and stuff like that.
Like when you see words, I feel like if the bit I know about Samantha is like I feel like if you look at words, you can hear music with it anyway.
With like I don't know, I feel like
Like
I
it's just in
probably
your brain.
like just put a feeling, like attach a feeling
Yeah.
to it, and
Yeah.
then just sing how it makes me feel.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
I feel like you probably just look at words and are like, oh, that's obviously it's this music.
oh, see, I never thought about it that way, but like maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. That's
I guess
that's
so,
how I
because
feel.
I do write the words. I
Yeah.
handwrite the words on paper, and then I sing the phrase with
Right.
whatever chords playing. So yeah,
I
that's
also
so
I feel like
cool.
because I've seen you do it in chat where like you'll read messages and sometimes you just sing them
I
and
don't even
and
realize.
you're like You're like, oh, I'm just being silly, but it's like, no, but then everybody was like, no, that was really good. That was kind of fun. Like, what are you talking about? You know? And
I
it's,
that is so
so
funny.
I feel like, I don't know, do you, like, think about it now, if you've never thought about it before, when you, like, look at a package and something, or, like, read anything, do you find yourself singing random stuff throughout the day?
Sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I might not do it like while and I don't intentionally do it. Like,
Yeah,
funny
I know
story.
you
This
don't.
made me think about in high school. In high school, I remember I was in geometry, and I was taking a test, and all of a sudden, you know how you can feel people watching you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I was in 10th grade geometry class, and I was in the middle of taking a test. Like, I didn't get like test anxiety or whatever. I was just doing my thing, and then all of a sudden, I
Yeah.
just felt people looking at me. So I look up, and everyone's just like looking at me like, and then my teacher's looking at me, and she was super sweet. She was like this super sweet lady.
Yeah.
Loved her, awesome teacher, very soft spoken and sweet, and just I loved her. But she's like, Samantha, you do know there's no humming during tests, right? And I was like,
you were just
I didn't
in your
know.
mode.
Like, I was literally doing math problems. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know what it sounded like. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a song or just random notes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I feel like music helps me process. Music helps
Mm.
me function. So I don't mean to do it a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's just in you.
I
It's just
guess
part of who
so.
you are.
I guess so.
Well,
So I don't know if that helped answer your question of like, do I mean to do it or not? Like, maybe I'm sure like, yeah, there's times when I do, like when I'm just having fun and being silly, but there's other times too where it just, I guess, comes out of my face and yeah, I don't know.
what what do you think, like, what's the, you want to do music full time? Is that the dream?
Yeah.
Like, what's the dream? What would be the ultimate Samantha Taylor dream?
I've actually like tried to think about this recently. It's really hard because like you also don't know what all the options and possibilities are.
Right.
Because
Right.
if you would have asked me 2 years ago,
Right.
before I started streaming, I wouldn't have known Twitch existed. So
Oh, I love that. I love
yeah,
even just that moment of like, I just don't even know, like, you know.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
like we
true.
can have like an idea of what we want to do, but also be like flexible, obviously with the process or what even the end result could be. But I think it
Yeah.
is good to have like an idea of what you want, or else you stop moving. I think it would be super cool to obviously have like more of my own original music and like be able to tour with it, um, along with still doing my favorite covers,
Yeah.
just to have that moment. But I I don't know. I really do want to tour
You want
with
to tour.
my
Yeah.
own music.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like because I love streaming on Twitch obviously, but like I think it's super cool that I've gotten to see you through video. Like there's so many
Right.
people that watch my streams, and like yeah, I know what all my mods look like. And like we
Mm.
talk on voice chat all the time, but I think it would be so cool to get to have like that moment of like connection, like singing and being able to see them and see
Mm.
them singing along, and like because I know they do. They tell me in chat they're like, I'm
Yeah.
singing right now or I'm playing along, and like
Yeah.
that's just the coolest feeling because music to me is all about feeling. And like to be able to witness it, I'd probably just it's a good thing I've been practicing singing while I'm crying because I'd probably just like cry just because like I get anytime I feel any strong emotion, whether it's sadness, anger, excitement, love, it just all brings tears on my face, which is why I never go a day without wearing waterproof mascara. But like I just think that would be the most fulfilling thing, not because it's me on stage,
Mm.
but just because like that's where you can see everything. And like I don't know, I just want to see and witness the music touching people's hearts.
Yeah.
I think that
Well, I
be
feel like
awesome.
you, along probably with a lot of people, uh, we're always craving connection, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Connection to something, and if it's like, if you can put out a piece of content that affects people and that you can have a connection with, like I instantly, like 100%, you said, your newest song,
Yeah.
like I love it because it's
Thank
something
you.
that, like, that's the whole, it's the whole reason for why I'm doing Do More Cool Shit, is like I just want people to try and to not be afraid to try. And I think we're told so often to be afraid to try.
Yeah.
And it's like, but what's the alternative? Like,
right, or be more reasonable. I think that's so cool to hear your perspective of how, like, how you took my song, because I was in like a totally different moment writing it, and it means something like slightly different to me, but like that is that's so cool. That's so cool.
Which, yeah, I think anything creative, like I think there's so much stuff that's out there that we can connect it with. And actually, I want to, this will be a perfect spot. I want to, I have some things I want to play. Okay. So do you know who Rick Rubin is? Have you heard of Rick Rubin?
Oh, that name sounds really familiar.
He's a music producer. He was one of the 2 members that founded Def Jam Recordings. But I want to play something of his.
Okay.
And I think you will appreciate it.
The way of experiencing the world, the way of noticing the thing that someone else doesn't notice, the way of seeing what's beautiful when everyone else sees the mundane. We get to walk around in awe all day and have our breath taken away. And then we get to portray that in something where someone else hopefully could have that same sense of awe from something we made.
These are so I just wanted to play that one. Like, I just love that, right? Like, doesn't that make sense? Like, doesn't that like everything we've just been talking about, right? Of like being able to, like, I don't know, take something that we see, and then we get to kind of mishmash it and put it out in a way that we want.
It's weird. I think to myself all the time, I'm like, I just want to make beautiful things. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, oh, why am I crying? Stop. Oh. But it's like, it's so true though. It's like, I feel like that's what makes life exciting and beautiful and not just robotic and just, because I do think back on like when I was younger, like all the time. And I'm like, everything was so exciting. How do I hold on to that? How do I share that and help people feel that? That was so well put.
Yeah, so well said, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh my god.
I love that, like your passion for like what that means is just always on the tip of your heart, and like just waiting to come out.
I'm like sweating. Like it's so validating, because I'm like, I'm not crazy. I'm doing this right. Other people feel that. Like, that makes sense. Like,
I think that's important. Actually, you and I have talked about this before, and I know you've talked about it on stream as well too. That's like, I'm not crazy, and I am doing something good and worthwhile, and I'm not alone in this journey. I think a lot of creatives can feel alone at some point, because you are, at the end of the day, you're a single musician doing the thing, you know. And it's like, I think any creative can do that. Like, I feel like that. Like, you know, I'm making a podcast, but like, there are so many times when it's like, what the hell am I doing? Like, why don't I just go get a real job that like pays me actual money, that like, you know, and I know there's so many people, and our whole planet is set up that way to just be like when people, I'm always curious when people say, like, to my parents, what does Sean do for a living? Like,
what do they say? How do they respond?
Well, they probably
say hi.
There's a little chicken nugget.
Yep.
Joining us.
She's getting started crazy. I'm sorry.
I don't know. That's all right. It's real life.
Yes.
It's like real life, you know. Also, she's pretty good. Ari's also always pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, as far as I know.
For the most part.
Yeah.
I can't complain.
Yeah, fair enough. But no, I do think that's always interesting. Is like, you know, and what does that journey look like? And like, so my parents were very traditional. They grew up in a very small town, you know, and it's like, so as excited, or I think as proud or whatever, I think they don't know what I do for a living. Right. I think they would much sooner love to be able to say like, oh, he's a plumber.
Right, something with like a typical title that everyone knows what it is. This is how you make your money.
Yeah. They're like, oh, a plumber. He fixes plumbing. He makes money doing, like, it's very simple, right?
Well, I think it gives them more peace too, knowing that their child's gonna be okay.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Because like, but I've been doing this for 19 years. You know, it's so funny.
Yeah, it's like,
something's working.
Ever understand it? Yeah, and you're still
and
doing
something's
awesome.
working. I'll probably be okay. You know, but it's go back to that earlier conversation we were having about like people don't want to see change, or like if they don't understand, it's like it's really hard, you
Yeah.
know. And it's like, yeah, they just don't, they're not in this world, which is fine. And I have lots of friends that are like that too, that just don't, they're not in this world, and they're like, wait, what do you do, what's happening, how do you make money? And I was like, well, don't worry about it, I'm happy, I'm really happy.
Right. And I think that's what it comes down to is like we're uh, we're not all wired to do the same thing, and that's part of how
Yeah.
we all connect as humans.
Yeah.
Like I was explaining to Lucas the other day that like I think that we like certain things because it's supposed to guide us towards what we're supposed to do. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he tried choir this year and he didn't really like it, and I'm like, that's
Right.
okay. I'm
fine.
like, you'll find things that you do like, and that's gonna be towards what
Yeah.
you like to do. And like some people, they are happier doing, what they see as like that secure job. Like they
Mm.
would not have fun. They would not be happy trying to do the creative side of
Right,
things
right.
because we're not all supposed to be wired. And if we were all creatives,
Yeah.
who would we? Who would
Oh
we
my God.
be? Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it would just be chaos.
The
I
world
think-
would be bonkers.
Yeah, it helps me to remind myself that not everyone is supposed to understand, but it's also awesome to
Right.
meet other creative friends, even if like we're not doing the same thing. Like you're doing the podcast, I'm doing the
Right.
singing, but we do have those similar thoughts and feelings, and it's nice to be able to touch base and talk about it and be like, okay, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
It's normal for us not normal people.
right, yeah. Yeah, I
So-
think you gotta find the people, you know, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I talk a lot about on here too, is like, I think, especially in the creative world, we just don't have, like, if you're a lawyer, there's a lawyer's, you know, like, you can be like, oh yeah, cool. Look, here's a bunch of lawyers. Here's a bunch of dentists. Here's a bunch of
Yeah.
doctors. We connect, but it's like, as creatives, it's like, I don't know. I think it's really important, or as entrepreneurs that can be lonely. It's like, yeah, you just got to get together and be like, hey, we are a community, you know, and it's like,
And
you
it's
can
legit.
find your people.
It's legitimate. It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, and
not
you can
just an
find your
idea.
people, you know.
I think that's like a huge thing about technology, though, too. Like, if I was, luckily, I do have local friends that are musicians, and I'm starting to get closer with them lately, too. But before that, like, unless we had social media and like Twitch, I found you through
Yeah.
Twitch, and like, it's been
Yeah.
awesome. But there are groups that you can find, whether on Facebook or anything, really.
Yeah, no matter what you're into. I always say that.
Yeah.
I'm like, no matter what it
Yeah.
is you're into, like, there is, actually, it was really funny. An older friend of mine, who has a full-time job and who is on her way into retiring, we were talking about this idea of, like, I was like, well, what are you going to do whenever you retire? She's like, well, I don't know. And we were talking about what she finds creative and what she likes to do. And she was talking about knitting and doing all that kind of stuff. But her one specific thing, I was like, well, what do you like about it? And she's like, well, to be honest, it's kind of weird. And it's, but she's like, I like pulling threads. I like de-stitching.
Oh, like just watching.
Like-
It's almost like when you knock over dominoes.
Or pulling them
Yeah.
out, you know, and she
Yeah.
loved that process.
There is like a texture feeling to it.
Yeah,
I
and
could
so
totally
we
feel
just
that.
did a little experiment, and it was like, oh, there's a group out there that like, there's a group out there that
pulling apart knitted
shares that,
threads.
does that. There is a lady that makes a lot of money because people want to like get like chairs and clothing undone, and she's like an expert like de-stitcher, unstitcher.
But does she like make videos of it, or like?
Yeah, I guess she does all of it. She does all like, so people send her stuff and she'll like take it apart in the most delicate way possible so that it could be put together. And it's like, and there's this whole community of people that are like, we love this content. And I'm like,
Yeah.
they're like, literally, we live in a world now where it's like, if you love, I don't know, binding books, there is a whole troop of people out there
Yeah.
willing
You'll
to
find
talk
your
about,
tribe.
yeah, to go bind books, you know.
That's amazing.
I love that about this world now, is like we can find that, and I think people don't. I still think people still don't know that.
Yeah.
You know.
Or
that those
you
people
might
exist.
think that it's
like,
too out there, like you said, like her.
Yeah.
Like you might be like, I don't know, because they
Yeah.
haven't found anyone that they relate to yet.
Yeah, and she's
But-
like, I just enjoy that process. She's like, in the process of knitting, as much as I like knitting and crocheting and whatever other things, I really enjoy peacefully sitting in my chair with a cup of tea and like taking apart mistakes or, you know, that I've done. It's just like this peaceful zone for her that she loves.
Peaceful destruction. That's awesome.
Yeah, peaceful destruction. Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that.
And she just, yeah, and I was like, well, let's figure out if that's a thing. And like, can you talk to anybody else who does that? And sure enough, it was
I
the
would
whole
have
group.
never thought. That is so interesting.
Yeah, and but that's what I think. Like, I think we still live in a place where like people have that thought, and they're like, yeah, but nobody else is gonna. And I'm like, no, go find them. They're out there.
Well, but that means someone had to be the first one to be like, I'm going to make a group for this because I can't be the only one.
For sure, yeah.
So yeah, sometimes I think
Yeah.
we have to be the person that like initiates and reaches out. Because also, and it's kind of funny because like I said, I used to be the shy one, but in my friend group, honestly, the few friend groups that I do have, I typically am the one to reach out to everyone to be like, hey, let's do this, or I offer to host, and like they all wanted to do it, but no one wanted to reach out. So sometimes I think it's important to be that person, like even if it is a little, like, I don't know, they might think it's dumb or they might not want to. They'll be like, okay, so they'll tell me they don't want to, but someone has to be take the initiative to start it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and it's like, and for the most part, it usually is received better than what you're going to tell yourself in your head. Like, oh, I shouldn't because this and that. And the other thing is like, yeah, but just why don't you just ask?
But what if the good things happen? You know what I mean?
I on this podcast in the first series of this podcast, it was Lana Dingwall, a good friend of mine, who said it was episode 30. I can remember because we were talking about risk, and she said I had to think about. She was in a job that she didn't like, and she really wanted to move on, and she was like, but it was steady income and it was worth it. And she said, you know, the thing that came for her, she said, was when she started thinking about risk from the other side. So yes, what if I leave and I'm not stable and all this stuff happens and I can't find a job, or I don't make it, and then I can't pay my rent and I'm out. She said all those thoughts could happen.
Which
but
is
she
natural.
said then, she's like, you know, and then I turned it on its head and I said, what are the risks of staying in this job that I don't like, that people are rude or bullying or whatever? And she was like, what are the risks of staying here?
Right.
You know, and those were just as big. And she's like, okay, now I have to move because that risk is not worth it.
Right. I've done the same thing. I love that. I love that. Because even with like releasing my songs, like I know I wrote those songs forever ago, the ones that are already released, but I'm like, what if I don't release a song that someone might need to hear? Like, and that's another reason why I'm super excited about these two new songs, because one is about A Man Who Follows Through, is about giving yourself that chance to find love again after you've been heartbroken. You're like, because naturally in your head you're like, well, what if everyone's just the same, and what if I'm gonna go through that again? And then it's like, okay, well, what if you find someone that does all the things and more, you know? But regardless, like in the pre-chorus, you're gonna be okay because you've gotten through it before. And then the I'll Try song, you know, is about like going for your dreams. And you know, the risk of not following them is regret and wondering forever. And then like, I don't know, like what if I need to get those songs out to reach someone that's gonna do something even way cooler than me releasing the song, you know? Like what if that sparks inspiration that will help down the road? Or even if it's in a small, tiny way, who cares? Like, I'm denying people of that experience if I don't put it out. You know? Like, it could be
100%.
impactful.
And you may never know that impact, but it's like you don't know that ripple. Like, you're just throwing the rock in the water, and it's that first little ripple, and that's great, because how far could that ripple go? You never know.
And I shouldn't let that small fear of being vulnerable or looking stupid or someone not liking my song stop that.
And
so
somebody, for sure, somebody's not going to like it. Like, so
I know.
you just tell, you're like, somebody's going to crap on it, and you'll be like, okay, well, whatever. But also, so these 10 other people like it. Like, you know, and really found inspiration from it. So it's like, who are you going to play to? The one guy that's not going to like it, or the 10 people that are going to be like, you know, and also it's going to be way more than 10 when you release it. It's going to be on the, just going to like it.
Thanks. I hope so.
There already
but
are. How many times have you played it on stream already? And people are like, oh my God, this
crazy.
means.
Like literally the week after I wrote it, that's when we had that run on the front page.
Yeah.
I think the most at one time was 17,000.
Yeah. And you were
Which
playing
is
your original
nuts.
songs, which 100% like already has touched somebody to go out and try. You know?
I think
it already
that's
has.
so cool. Like, and like I have to stop and reflect and be like, I'm already doing what I love.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I mean, I know it'll hopefully eventually scale to where I can actually like I said, travel and actually perform in front of these people.
Yeah.
But like I'm already doing what I love. Which is so freaking cool.
Like how lucky, like how like you've worked hard. There's also, you know, it's funny because I talked about this on the podcast, but like a little bit, but I have a hard time with luck sometimes. So I'm like, how lucky? That's awesome. But also you've worked really hard to make that happen.
Well, it's weird though, because it's like, I've been doing it for a long time, but it's like, I have to force myself to think about like when I first started playing guitar, building the calluses, playing till my fingers bled, like, you know, rehearsing for college bands whenever I was like really tired, like, but the thing is, in the end, I'm still doing something that I love the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's like, was it working hard? Yes and no. You know what I mean?
Well, you were.
Like, yes,
you were.
but with the love behind it.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think that's part of it. Like you were working hard. You would work hard. So you would work all day. You would have all your fingers bleeding just to make songs because you love the process of it. And you'd be like, it's worth it. You know? And I feel like I love that. Like I think that's the part that I think people don't. There's so many people, and this is where like that's why I wanted to do this, is because I think people get sad, or I find it sad when people don't find that thing, when they just settle and they just get comfortable with like, okay, well, I'll just do this for 30 years, and then when I retire, I can travel and do some things that I like. And it's like, wait, what are you going to do for 30 years? Like,
but that's because we found that thing that we do love and that inspires us and makes us feel fulfilled. And like I tell people all the time that like I feel so blessed that I found something that I loved at such a young age.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always feel like it's like a blessing and a curse because it's like I know what I want to do. And the only curse is just because like I had that doubt in my head all the time. But if I wouldn't have found it so young, I would have been too much in like a mature, reasonable mindset. I wouldn't have pushed as hard.
You gotta settle down. You gotta figure it out. You gotta like settle down and make some money.
Yeah, but it's also never too late to find that. That's
I don't
another
think it's
thing.
ever too late to find that.
Like that's something that that book mentions. Like he talks about a bunch of huge artists that were in their 30s, 40s, even 50s when they had their breakthrough moment. Yeah. But
there's tons of examples of it. You know, there's
Chris
tons
Stapleton
of
is
examples.
one of them, and I love him. He's
right.
I just got my first record. It's right there.
I think there's tons of examples of it. I think it's so important to keep reminding people that it's never too late. It's one of the reasons that I want to keep doing this, is that it's never too late. Like when I do a little bit of private coaching and consulting with individuals, and I remember having a 50-year-old woman who came to see me, and her children had grown and were out the door now, and she was like, we started talking, and then she started having tears in her eyes. It was like, I don't know who I am. You know, I've been a really nice, you know, wife. I've been a really lovely mother. You know, when I was in my 20s, I wanted to be a scientist, but then I had children, and now here I am, and I'm 58, and everybody has like kind of left the coop, and my husband is working, and I'm here, you know. And she's like, what do I do? You know, and it was an interesting conversation to have that with a woman, like so many years later. And we ended up finding out like some things that she could do that would really like serve her passion and drive. And she's like, I'm a bajillion times happier as a human being now than I was then, you know. And it's like, I hope you don't lose yourself, you know, and like let 30 years go by.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm like crying again. That just made me think of my mom.
Yeah.
Just because like she is an absolutely amazing mom. But like we're at the point where obviously I've moved out.
Yeah.
And like everyone's moving out, and like she's
Right.
devoted her life to like everyone.
Right.
You know, she doesn't really have much free time to herself right now, and I hope and pray that she has that moment like your friend did, where she finds something that she likes to do when she is faced with all this time and reflection, and like she just, with all the love she's poured out to everyone else, she deserves to find that happiness and fulfillment and joy. And I'm so happy that your friend found that, because that's beautiful. That's like another thing I think about all the time for like the people that I love, is like, will they find that passion in their life that they love?
Sure. Well, I mean, one passion is watching you do your thing. And
yes,
she's
I know,
doing that.
I know.
Like,
and
that's,
she always
you know,
said her goal in life was to be like a good mother. And I'm like, well, you've already done that, so we need to find another goal too, because you're nowhere close. Like, you have so much life left. Like, you gotta do something. Like, I don't even like the word selfish, but do something for you. You know?
I do like the word selfish. I'm totally fine with that. And people are like, oh, don't you ever feel
but
selfish?
People think of
like,
it as like a negative thing. Like, I don't want it to come across that way.
That's what I love. That's why I'm like, yeah, call me selfish. That's fine. Because I was like, I'm going to tell you why I am selfish. I'm selfish because, and like this and that. I want to put, I'm
going to do it.
And I'm going to do it. It's going to be because of me. And like, I'm not worried about other people right now, because I'm worried about me, and I'm happy. And I think if we were all a little bit more selfish.
I was about to say, I need some of that. Like, where do you find that? How do you put that, sprinkle that in your coffee in the morning? Like,
you know what, though? I think about it in a way that I'm like, if we were all just a teeny bit selfish about our own happiness, wouldn't we live in a really good world? Like,
we would all be happier. We wouldn't be searching for it in everyone else. Like we were talking about earlier with the trolls. Yeah,
like everybody else, and like also we wouldn't have to consume as much. We would just be happier people, and I think then
more, I think.
Yeah, and I think we would then connect more. You know, I think if we like, this is like a really weird example, but like making plans with friends or family. You know, and it's like, I don't know how many people do this, but like, I find it so infuriating when I'm like, hey, do you want to hang out on Friday night? And they're like, no. I'm like, why? Okay, cool.
Sorry.
Well, no, I don't even want to know why. I just want to know, okay, cool. Do you have another date you want to hang out? Like Saturday.
Right.
And then it's like, where do you want to go to eat? Oh, I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. So now I don't do any of that. I send plans out. I say, do you want to hang out on Saturday at 2:00 at this place that's really close to my house that I want to walk to and that I like? You know, and like 90% of the time, people just say yes.
Yeah, because you took all the guesswork and the thinking out.
And I'm like, that just made me happy. Like, that was all selfish. Every part of that was selfish.
Right, because you're doing what you want to do.
The date, the time, and the place. Like
making decisions. They don't.
The date, the time, and the place that suits me. And, and everybody just said yes, and I was like, all right, great. And I learned that probably, I don't know, 10 years ago when I was trying to set up meetings with different people, and like we'd go back and forth, and you'd send out the 900 emails that'd be like, well, Wednesday at 1 doesn't work, and Tuesday at this. Now I just say, I'm going out on Saturday to this place at 2 p.m. and like, you can come or not.
Well, that's what you actually did with me for that makes so much sense, because I was like, okay, these are the times that work for me, and then you picked one.
Right.
And you're like, okay. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it's because, and it worked for me. So I was like, okay. And then, but that makes so much sense, because it takes all the energy of the back and forth and and then everyone kind of just loses the fuel for it. That makes total sense. I'm going to start doing that.
Just do it and like do it. And almost no one will ever, like, in doing this for 10 years, almost nobody ever, and the odd time they do say like, oh, well, actually it doesn't work for me, can we just go over here? I'm like,
and
yeah,
they
sure.
want to reschedule, or they have input.
And that's fine, because then they come back with a definitive like answer, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I love that. The biggest gift you can give me as someone who's creative and runs businesses, has to make 1 million decisions a day.
Yes.
If you can take all the decisions, if you're like, here, eat this food, I'd be like, even if I don't like it, I'm going to eat it, because I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I was actually thinking about changing my wardrobe to like not like one set style, but like a color scheme.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm like, because you hear about like those, millionaire and billionaires that wear all black all the time. And
Yeah.
Rob wears all black all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
you never have to think about it. It's one less decision to not have in your life. And I have a very limited wardrobe.
Everything would match.
Yeah.
And like just find the section like my closet's color coded by like rainbow order. There's like short sleeves, long sleeves, tank tops, because I already like I have to keep it organized or I spend way too long and then I get mad going through my closet. I'm like, no. So like that's another thing. I want to not take so much time making I don't want to say stupid decisions, but just like I don't want to waste my time.
Right. Yeah,
But I still want to be fashionable, so I need some options, but not so many, you know.
Yeah. So, you got to make music. Your you know your excitement and your pleasure in life is to make music. It's not to figure out what kind of top you want to wear.
Exactly, but like yet that goes back to the artist image is it's like everything's like so curated. Like I want everything to still be me. So I've been reflecting on I'm like, okay, what are things that I wear that I feel good in that I like? I like wearing pastel crop tops, whether it's a cropped hoodie or anything. And then I like wearing leggings or shorts. That's it. That's me. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, does any of that affect you making music? And that's why I like part of the reason actually that I fell in love with like watching Rick Rubin was like he's like white t-shirts, shorts, and bare feet. And anybody that knows me, like I'm in bare feet like all the time, and mostly in shorts. And it's like, you know, he doesn't let any of that stuff get in the way of him producing music.
Right.
You know, and I was like, I think we can really get in our own ways of like doing the thing we want to do for whatever million reasons, whether it's your clothes, your hair, social media, like whatever.
Right. Find out what you like, let it be true to you, stick with it, and just keep it simple.
Do it.
Like I'm so looking forward to that. I'm going to be cleaning out my closet soon, and
well, that's exciting. There you go.
I know that was super random, but like I love it, and like that's the other thing is I don't want to like have to have this long process every single day to get ready. I'm like, I don't care about that part.
Yeah.
That's why like there's some days on stream like I don't wear makeup. I don't do any of that. I'm like, I just want to play music. Right. That's not the point. Yeah.
The point is playing the music.
That people still receive it so well. I think people overthink it.
Yeah, 100%. I used to do I still do, but I'll go and do speeches at big conferences and stuff, and I'll always wear shorts on stage.
Really? No matter
even
what
if it's
venue.
like, even if it's like a big fancy venue and like people are all dressed up in suits, and like you can always tell the venue folks are a little bit. They're like, oh, we thought like you dress up a little bit.
Like they're not gonna take you seriously at first, and then they hear you talk. Yeah.
I'm like, just hear my words, listen to my words. What does it matter what I'm wearing? If you can see my knees,
deliver itself.
Doesn't matter, you know.
No.
Yeah, oh no, you know. And it's like, who cares? That's what I'm comfortable in. And I remember it was really funny. So I went out into the audience one time, and I was giving this talk, and this man, I don't know, we were talking about something, and then he said, you know, I really appreciate, you know, your outfit. And I said,
to have a comment about it, right?
He said, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, and he was in a full suit, but he was wearing sandals. And we talked about it a little bit. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. How come you were able to keep your sandals? And I was like, why didn't you then? If you want to dress like me, why wouldn't you? Because we were in a conference center. It was like 1,000,000 degrees outside. Everybody in there was sweating and super uncomfortable. And like everybody was commenting on how comfortable I looked and I was like, yeah, because I am. And I asked this man, I said, why aren't you like, why didn't you dress like me then? And he like pointed to like his wife who was sitting beside him, and he was like, she made me wear my suit.
She would have killed me. Yeah.
She was like, she made me wear my suit. And it was just such a fascinating, because like nobody in there was comfortable. Like everybody was doing this fake thing of like, I don't know, people say like, oh, it's respectful. I was like, it's respectful to wear a suit to be uncomfortable?
Like politics type stuff. Yeah,
we made up all this stuff. Like we made all of this up.
Yeah. All the social standards and
you know, and it wasn't like I went in with like, you know, dirty stuff. Like I was clean. No, like it wasn't like I had dirty.
It didn't affect your attitude either. You would have acted the same whether you were in a suit or the shorts or
totally.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's summer, it's July, it's like whatever bajillion degrees it is. Everybody's sweating. I was like, I'm not going to do that. you know?
Exactly. Well, you don't want to pass out giving your speech. You'd rather make it through the whole thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, but it is hard. That actually probably is one of the hardest things that, like, because I can feel the social pressure.
Yeah.
To not to just conform, just wear pants, and like I have done this for so long, and like when I was a young person, there was so much pressure to like don't do that, and like yeah, it's crazy. It was actually really crazy. And I remember thinking, like, on days that I would travel, I'd be like, okay, I guess I should, this time, maybe I should put on a pair of dress pants. And I was like, no, I
like,
won't.
Inside, your heart was probably
like,
fighting you. I really don't want to, though.
Yeah, I was like, I won't do it. I don't want to. And I was like, also, people spend like thousands of dollars on this shit. And it's like, it's a waste of money to look good in front of other people. Right. And I was like, but what's the content of the person? You know? Right. And anyway, that, you know, we kind of.
No, that actually, I really needed to hear that. Like, that really just inspired me because, like, I know that, like, you go to different events. I find myself jumping on Pinterest being like, what to wear to this event. I'm like, why do we all have to wear the same thing? Like, that takes out the individuality. That takes out everything. I'm like, why would I not be good enough in what I feel good in?
Yeah.
So just, and like, I've been actually fighting those thoughts in my head a lot recently. I'm like, what am I, like, why am I trying to impress these people? What's the point of it? Do I need to go out and buy a whole new outfit, like you said? Am I ever going to wear this on a regular basis? Do I even like this? No. It's going to clutter up my apartment and make me spend money, and I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to enjoy myself.
Does it make me a better person because I have it, you know?
I'm going to channel my inner Sean every time. I'm like, I want to wear this, but they're going to say I should wear this, so I'm just going to be comfy.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
Well, that's good. I'm glad we had this chat.
Yes. Yes.
So I have one last question for you, and then I want to play two last things, and then I'll let you go on with your Sunday.
Right, I'm gonna read my book.
But so, you know, we've been talking about all kinds of different things. My last question is, what is one thing or even two things that you need right now to help you be more successful as a creative?
I'm sorry. Oh man, this is really hard. Because I feel like for the most part, like if we just channel more inside of ourselves, we can find whatever we need at the basics anyway. What do I need to be more successful as a creative?
Yeah. And success being in whatever term you like, you know, it doesn't have to be like you define success the way you want.
Right. Like, that's why it's so hard. Because, like we said earlier, I'm literally so happy doing what I'm doing. And also, I feel so inspired. And I know that there's more things coming. Like, I want to, you know, perform at TwitchCon. Like, I want to, you know, write one more song to finish an EP. So that would be enough to start, you know, pushing my original music more.
What would help you write one more song?
Dang. If I could just pick one of my ideas of songs that I want to write and just actually write it instead of jumping around to different topics. I think that I just need more, like, discipline. And also, like, one thing that I really want to learn, actually there's two things I really want to learn a lot. I want to get better at playing more, like, melodic things on the guitar so that I can let the instrumental really support what the lyrics of my songs are saying. And then I want to learn more about actually mixing and mastering my own music so I don't have this limitation of having to wait for someone else to mix this for me. Like, when I feel inspired, I want to learn the art of mixing and make it sound exactly how I want to. Right. So I know that there's a lot to learn about that stuff. So yeah, I feel like I just need to just keep working on my craft and just keep going for it and keep telling myself to not be afraid and stay out of my own way and do what I'm supposed to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just discipline and stuff. Honestly, because I feel like I have all the tools I need to just do it.
That's good. That's all. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know what the magic answer is. It's just it was a question that I think is so interesting to people to like. Because I don't think we do think about that. It's like, well, what do I need? And then like break that down into like even more concrete things of like, what's a measurable thing that you can. So is it like I need to spend 10 more minutes every day working on this stuff? Is it
Right. It's like I need to cancel my Netflix subscription. That's what I need to do. Or like you said, take that one day a week or a month, turn off my social media, and that's my self-reflection writing time. You know what I mean? Like just stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's important. Like I know for me, I used to have a day solely because I think we get so wrapped up in our own things, but I would have a day solely booked for learning. Yeah. And it was like you get so into like doing the thing, like going on Twitch or whatever, or like hitting live or whatever, you don't give yourself that day to like learn new things.
And
or
my problem is I'm constantly watching YouTube videos and learning things. I look up a bunch of totally off topic on music related things, so that's one thing. I need to stay more focused. But also like I'll watch things and then I'll binge watch instead of like watching one video, applying it, trying to actually learn what I just watched. So I think I need to actually like start applying the intake. Because what good does it do if it just sits in my head and I don't ever actually do it? But I'm just like, so this comes back to me trying to let go of the perfectionism and like just let myself try and allow myself to fail and figure it out. So well,
and you're working on that. Like I know from watching your streams that you're working on that for sure, because like I know you'll try lots of things on stream that I know a year ago you wouldn't have.
Oh, and I'm still very uncomfortable trying it, but also like the more you do it, like I said, the more you surprise yourself. That's like either, oh, that wasn't so bad, I could work on this better, and like maybe, and it will trigger ideas on how to make it better. Or there are some times where I'm like, that was so cool, I don't remember how I did that. I'm gonna have to go like watch that back because that was so cool, I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah. So, some of those crunchified songs that you have, and you're like,
oh my God.
Like watching you surprise yourself is a really big joy, where it's like you surprise your own self when you're like, holy shit, I just did that.
Well, and
you're
it's
like,
also,
yeah, you did.
Yeah, well, and it's a lot of fun too, because sometimes I'm so focused on like trying the thing, and then like I don't know, for a little bit of time I forget to care about what it sounds like to everyone. It's like a total feeling thing. I'm like, that felt really good. It just
felt really good.
I'm like, it might not have sounded that great, but that I felt alive in that moment, and I love that feeling. Like that feels so cool. But that's awesome. Only get that when you get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So I think
just let it happen.
Yeah, I think all I really need to do to succeed more is just to continue what I had this goal for this year to be is, awesome. Like I said, stay out of my way.
Yeah.
Like myself, not anyone else. Like get out of my own way, keep trying the new things, and just consciously work on those goals and not let myself get so distracted.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
I think I have everything that I need inside of me. I need to just tap into it a little more. So.
And then, I think that's awesome. Okay, so you were talking about letting go. We're just gonna let go here for a minute.
Let it go.
We're just gonna let it go here. Man, I have two more things I wanted to share. So, you've been doing music for a very long time.
Yeah.
And you've been on YouTube for 9 years.
How short that hair is. That's the last time I chopped it. I was 15, I think.
So this is 9 years ago. So I think the first thing you ever posted on YouTube.
Yeah, that's when I was allowed to have my own YouTube channel.
So you had posted on your mother's channel before that.
Yeah.
Do you remember this feeling?
Yeah, I was at my dad's house.
Colors and promises, how to be brave. How can I love when I'm afraid?
All right, we don't have to play the whole thing, but
That's
what
crazy.
like do you like what feeling does that give you now looking back? Like, do you remember this? Like when you look, I don't think people take enough time to like fully appreciate the journey of where you've come from.
Yeah, it's so crazy to think like that. It's like the same guitar that I have sitting right here. like what
oh
I
yeah,
say.
well here let's.
What?
I'm just gonna pull it back up. We'll just take.
Oh yeah, this is Paisley, my girl. That's my girl Paisley.
Right? Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Same guitar.
Yep.
Same guitar.
She's got a couple more scratches and stuff on her that I'm not proud of, but wow. This is so strange because like I said, I feel like music came at a perfect time, like with the guitar and the performing aspect, because at that point my parents had just split that year, and it was like a really long drawn out divorce, and it wasn't a very pleasant time for me or my brothers, and like I was the oldest, so there was like a lot of pressure on me in my own head to be like the big sister that they could lean on. And also I was doing all the advanced classes at school, and I had been playing guitar for 4 years at that point. And I feel like I was really leaning into the music and trying to hold on to those good, positive love feelings. Like, that's a love song. That's 1,000 Years by Christina Perri. I love that song still. And I feel like music is why I was able to hold on to, like, posting those videos got me through all that.
Yeah.
Wow. I haven't really reflected on everything. Sometimes I don't want to say sometimes I take things for granted when I'm in a good place, but yeah. I
but
was
not like
just, that was like my escape at the time, but I also was serious, like I wanted to do it, you know, like, so.
Well, and so when I first started watching you, I loved that you had that journey. I was like nobody had like, well, not, I shouldn't say nobody, but like 9 years of posting stuff on YouTube, and you said you did it before that too, with your mom's account, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah, Taylor for
like,
mom.
But like, that isn't that awesome though, that like you would just have that journey. So when I went back, I was like, when I first was like, oh, I like Samantha Taylor music. I'm gonna do a little deep dive. I need to learn more about this person. And I was like, whoa, she's posted a lot over the years, and it's
not
like
very
you
consistently, but yeah, that was
but
with
it's
my
been a
iPod
lot.
Touch. I was telling you about that little iPod Touch on the music stand,
and like it was good. Like that's not terrible. Like I could hear you, I could see you, and it's an iPod Touch. Like you know, and it's not the worst.
Still
like,
pretty new.
Yeah.
But
I
that's
love
why
that.
I leave that stuff up there. I like being able to, from time to time, look at where I've come from. When I'm feeling like I'm beating myself up, that I'm not progressing fast enough, and then I'm like remembering why I do all of it. So.
I wanted to that was so for me. I didn't know some of the backstory. I wanted to play that because I don't think we do appreciate the journey. Like, you've been doing this for a long time, and I think it's really important to celebrate the journey of where everything came from, you know?
That reminds me of my song again. I'm like, that's the girl that like wanted to do this so bad.
She's still doing it.
Yeah.
She's still doing it.
She's still a little sappy thing though.
Well, I'm glad that in the duration of this interview, I could make you cry at least 3 times.
Yeah. Well, like I said, don't worry. Like, usually when I cry, they're like just appreciation, happy, good tears. So
that's good. That's good.
Oh.
Well, I appreciate you taking all this time with me.
It flew by. That's crazy. I can't believe how long it's been. Like, I could talk to you all day long.
I've really enjoyed getting to know you. I'm excited for when the songs come out. When the songs come out, you best believe I'll be asking if I can play them on the podcast or on the live streams.
I will tell you now. You can. You can. I think that is an honor for you to even like them that much.
Oh, I think they're so awesome, and I like I honestly, the I'll Try song is one that like, that's the anthem for what Do More Cool Shit's all about. When you sent me the lyrics and when you sang it, I was like, what? Okay, cool. Like, he just wrote a song that I want to play forever now. For everybody.
So cool.
Like, I just think it's awesome. So I'm excited to share that more and more and push that out with you. And also people that are listening to this or watching this, your schedule I think is pretty set still. So where can they go find you? Twitch.tv/Samantha Taylor Music.
Yeah. So on Twitch, I'm like you said, twitch.tv/Samantha Taylor Music. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Thursday from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we just do like lots of song requests and hang out and have a good time, and and it's funny, people ask me all the time how Twitch is different from like YouTube or like any other pre-recorded videos. I'm like, it's like, I tell them it's like campfire song vibes. I've heard people in Twitch chat say like, you sing songs, but then you hang out and just have fun, and then you sing more songs, and I really love it. I feel like I've connected with Twitch like more than any other platform. But I do also post at least weekly covers on my YouTube channel. Sometimes I'll post more like I have been recently. So, but yeah.
I'm going to drop all those links as well. So if you've liked what you've heard, if you like what you've seen, you want to see more, you can absolutely go check Samantha out at any of those links. It really is fun. As someone who's like, been in chats and also lurked in chats, it's always shenanigans. And if Samantha's not playing music the odd time, she's playing Phasmophobia or running around.
We just started playing a new ghost game called Boom
good time.
I screamed so many times. It was so bad.
But yeah, so we look forward to singles coming out, and also at some point, guaranteed, Samantha's gonna have even more stuff on Spotify, so people can listen to it all the time.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Awesome. Well, I thank you so much for joining me, and we will end it here because that was just so packed with so many good things, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. This was super cool, and like I said, inspiring for me too. Like I love talking to a fellow creative, and I'm really inspired to go read my book and do all the cool things, and I hope in some way other people feel excited too. So that was fun. Thank you so much.
If you have made it to the end, I am very proud of you. Very, very proud of you. You made it all this way. Samantha and I could have talked for much, much longer. We were laughing after I ended up hitting stop record. I think we probably talked for another hour. And we were talking about the idea of being able to surround yourself with creatives. And it's one thing that I have said over and over and over again, and I will continue to harp on, is surround yourself with good, great friggin' people that have creative brains that drive you and push you to do better. And that's what Samantha does for me. Every time I see her go live on her Twitch channel, and every time we have a conversation about just about anything, I really, really appreciate it. And I love that near the end, as we talk about what she needs really to continue to succeed, to grow, to push, is just to get out of her own way. I do think that is something that we cannot say enough to ourselves, to each other. We cannot remind each other. We cannot remind ourselves enough. We cannot hold up enough mirrors to each other to remind ourselves to get the hell out of the way and to trust your gut a little bit. And throughout all of these series, you're going to hear that message being repeated. And you're not going to hear anything different from any of these people. It's going to be the same harping message over and over. And I want to play a clip from the late, great, amazing Robin Williams. He talks about, in this clip, he's talking about your verse. And how your verse in this grand scheme is here. And we have to take those moments. So I'm just going to play this quick clip.
The powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. What will your verse be?
The winner is Robin Williams. This is now.
What do you think your legacy will be?
God knows. I don't know. They had a thing recently when they showed a clip of all the HBO specials I did, and it was like going, I'm still alive. Why are they doing? I don't know what my legacy is. that I had a good time, and I think also that I've tried different things throughout my career. And I hope to keep doing that and to keep working with interesting people.
And just that, the legacy part, and to just that I was here to make things, I was here to put things, and then I tried different things. That was one of the things that I really took out of this. Was it's a much longer clip from Robin Williams around this, and it's that idea that he kept trying things. And when I think back, if you've ever watched any of Robin Williams films, you go from Good Will Hunting to Mrs. Doubtfire, to so many, to Patch Adams, to so many other different styles of videos. And I think it was the true epitome to me of someone who got out of his own way and tried different things. I think we know that, we see that in other people. We see people pigeonhole themselves, and it makes me sad that people have to do that, or that they feel they have to do that, or there's no other way around that. So as we come to this end, as I wrap this up, I want you to think about what is one thing you're doing in your life right now that keeps you stuck, that helps you get in your own way, and what is one thing you can do to get out of your own way. Why don't you pick up a tennis racket and just try it? Why don't you just pick up a phone, apply for that job, start woodworking, do whatever it is you have a whim to do, try it. Because what is the worst that is going to happen? I'm going to say that over and over again, also on this podcast and on all these episodes, is what is the worst that's going to happen? No one's probably going to die. I mean, now maybe, probably. There are some things, but I appreciate you guys for listening all the way through this episode. I will have all the links to anything that Samantha's doing down in the description below. I hope that you guys enjoy some of these conversations. If you are, I hope you hit that subscribe button. I hope you hit that like button. I hope you rate the podcast. Anything helps as we continue to grow this stuff. And like I've said earlier in other podcast episodes, we now have a very set schedule. You can go visit domorecoolshit.com and you will get all the details there of when live streams are and when podcasts are, all that good stuff. So I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You guys are the best. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week. All you creative nerds know that I care and I appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope that whatever creative stuff you're working on, it keeps getting better and better. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now, everybody.